Nottingham Forest will be looking to do what Crystal Palace have done this afternoon, and that is secure European football as they take the trip down to London Stadium on Sunday. They have European football in the bag, but it's whether it's Conference or Europa, which will be heading to the City Ground next season. Whereas West Ham have the opportunity to break a record. Tomorrow, we have the opportunity to finish or consolidate our finish above Tottenham and Manchester United for the first time in the top flight of English football since 1986. Mike was 50 then, and you can see how long ago that was. Welcome back to West Ham Official. I hope you are all well. Our penultimate match preview of the Premier League season, and I have a terrific brace of guests with me. Nigel, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. Yourself?
I'm all right. Mike, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, good.
Jolly good. Mike's been enjoying the Saturday afternoon in the sunshine with a lot else by the sounds of it. Mike, have you?
Definitely, yes. Yeah. I mean, 8 o'clock on a Saturday is not a good time for me. Cricket started at 1 and so did I.
He's had about 8 pints.
Jake, when did you move to the Antarctic?
Oh, don't you start. I've had it all day.
Yeah, what he is.
I've had it all day.
Welcome to West Ham Unofficials, hosted by Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Just because I've got a jumper, I've got a jumper on, all right? Leave me alone.
It's your colour of your skin, mate.
Is it?
Look at it.
I went on. No, it's the light. It's the light. This light is very white. Trust me. I've been on holiday. April, right?
It's Transylvania.
I've got a nice tan, right? And you can't see it because of my white light. Leave me alone. I do apologise because even I got a little bit confused, and I put 7 o'clock on the show tonight. So my apologies, people who turned up at 7 o'clock and were disappointed. Maybe they had a better evening than when we weren't here, but that's up to you. So my apologies for that. Right, well. This afternoon, first of all, Crystal Palace lifting the FA Cup. We will talk about that with Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup as well. I think it's good for football, to be totally honest, to have 2 non-Big Six teams winning the domestic cups this season. I was quite glad to see that, Nigel.
Yeah, I mean, what a season! Like we just said before we come on, but me and Jake was talking about the season. Newcastle winning the cup, Palace winning the cup. Tottenham and Man United down in the dregs of relegation dogfight. It's you'd never have said at the beginning of the season. You never have guessed that, would you?
No, absolutely not. So look, you've got West Ham now, Mike, who have got the opportunity to finish above Tottenham and Man United by securing a win tomorrow. Now there's a smile on your face, there's a smile on my face, because that would be mildly amusing. That's the aim now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be, mate. I mean, we've got nothing else, have we, to fight for? 3 points does it. And let's get them tomorrow. To be totally honest, it's been a really weird season, I think, in the Premier League. And I'm chuffed for Palace fans because we know it's like 40 years waiting for a trophy. They've never won one. Good on them. And I hope they celebrate until the K's come home.
Yeah.
Newcastle fans as well, great for them. But the Big Six thing, is it a bit of a myth? When is the last time the top 6 was the so-called Big Six?
Very good.
I'm so chuffed that Palace have won that today. I really am. Yeah. Chuffed for all their fans. It's Man City fans winning that. It's just another day at the office for them, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, I think they said they've had 23 trips to Wembley or something in the last 10 years or something daft like that. Like,
I mean, the semi-finals of the FA Cup being at Wembley for me it just makes a bit of a farce of the FA Cup, full stop. But I mean, and they didn't really turn up, did they? The Man City fans. We knew the Palace fans were going to turn up and make it a massive occasion, and so I'm so glad for them.
Absolutely. And there's been a bit of disillusionment maybe with the domestic cup competitions. They've waned in sort of popularity and quality, I suppose you could add. And I mean, you could suggest that that's the same today. Like it wasn't the occasion that it used to be, the FA Cup final today. Like, I forgot it was on until a couple of days ago. Like, and it doesn't have the same reputation and build up as it did, once upon a time, and that's unfortunate. But hopefully, with teams like Palace winning it, it sort of shows and indicates and tries to reinforce how we could try and get the FA Cup back to where it should be, the most important and the most prestigious cup, and to sort of insert some priority into it, because you'd have big teams that will rest the FA Cup, wholesale changes, and that's not right, and that's partly down to the amount of games that these big teams have got to play. But it's nice with the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup this season, Nigel, to have some different teams winning it, and to show other teams that maybe next year that can be them celebrating on a glorious Saturday afternoon in May.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's right in what he says about them. With the semi-finals being at Wembley, it's just changed the whole demographics of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because to get to Wembley, you've got to get into the semi-final. And I suppose once you've been to Wembley once, it's a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah.
When it used to be at Ellen Road, Villa Park, it was brilliant. You know what I mean? So you got to go to a neutral ground, play the semi-final, and then for a day out at Wembley. And it has taken a lot away. And I think the FA ought to look at that and just take a long look at it and think to themselves, maybe they should be, taking it back to where it used to be.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And make it the spectacle that it once was. So now Crystal Palace have secured a Europa League football because of their victory in the FA Cup, which now I believe, I'm not sure because it's very wholly complicated, is that it pushes things back up again, so that the likes of Brighton, Brentford, Fulham, Bournemouth were preying on a Manchester City victory today. So 8th would qualify for Conference League, but that's now not going to happen because it all gets pushed up a place. So now Conference League will be 7th, as it has been in previous seasons before, which currently puts Nottingham Forest in Conference League football, not Europa League football. So really, Forest were also chewing on Manchester City today, and they were not satisfied in the end. So now you've got Nottingham Forest with still plenty to play for, currently with Conference League football. There's 3 points to separate them and Manchester City, believe it or not. So a win puts them level with a slightly worse goal difference, and puts them back in with a shout on the final day to try and secure Europa League football. So there's a lot on it in terms of Nottingham Forest. What have you made of them as a whole this season, Mike?
No, Nottingham Forest, great. I mean, it's breath and fresh air, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sticking 2 fingers up to the old tippy-tappy football, and the Guardiola way is the only way you can play. So, yeah, there's different ways of winning the games of football. I know you used to moan about, we were sat on the edge of our 18-yard box and, defending and, hoping for a breakaway goal. I don't think Forest have been that at all. They've been different from that. They've been exciting in the way that they attack and get balls into the box. And you can get balls into the box because you've got someone in the bloody middle who's likely to stick it in the back of the net. I mean, football, doesn't have to be played one way. There's different ways of winning games of football. And I'm so glad that Forest have done well this year. And I'd love to see them, do well. But, we want the 3 points tomorrow. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. And it's been refreshing, as Mike, I think you're absolutely right, is that they've reduced football back to the principles of it. They've got a big man in Chris Wood up front. They've got some wingers that could put a ball into the box, and defensively, the likes of Murillo and others have secured them up. They've got the principles right. They've built the foundations, and they've been excellent. And they've had a plan, and they've executed it perfectly. With 30% possession, they were 3rd for quite a significant period of the season, Nigel, and not a lot of people expected it. Of course, they were 17th, bearing in mind, last season. They finished 17th, and they were 3rd for a long, long time. I think it's commendable what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, they thrashed us up there. That was a really bad game. But what you've got to look at is they've got excellent players in every part of the field. Like Murillo, great player. In the Gibbs Wood, they've got Chris Wood up front, who's basically a bit of goal machine for them. So they've got great players in every area of the pitch, and that makes a big difference. It's not having great attacking players like we've got, but we've got a crap defence. And it's sort of all Nottingham Forest of like just they go gung ho, they go for it. He's got them playing really, really well. He got the sack the other day, didn't he?
No.
He didn't get a sack. Someone told me he got.
No.
No, oh, must have been hearsay on clickbait things, but because I was thinking to myself, God, why do I know if they do that? I mean, they're a great outfit, and they've got also what they have got is amazing support. If you've been to the city ground, the support there is great, and they bring decent fans. So they got the whole lot. They got tradition from the club, and great season for Forest. And I did say earlier on in the season there was some on TalkSport when they'd beaten us, and the lads were saying, "We're going to be in the Champions League this season." I was laughing off. I said, "No, it's not good. You're going to fall away. You're going to fall away." And I'm glad that I was right, because like at one point I thought, "God, I'm going to eat my words here," because they really they're going to make it. But yeah, they have fell away a little bit. And let's hope that they fall away a little bit more tomorrow.
And I think our visit to the City Ground epitomises what they've done this season, and it was a really bad day. And I could actually remember walking out of the ground. Dad was on a holiday that I wasn't invited on, so so I was there with Terry. I turned to Terry and went, "We just lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest," and we were like, "Well, that's a low moment." And in the end, to be fair, they've been brilliant. And it was, again, whenever someone mentions Forest away, Nigel, you will remember this as well. It was the most obvious red card coming in. You could see it coming. Alvarez running from the middle, and I was on the left-hand side of the goal, and we were right in line with it. I said, "He's going to wipe him out. He's going to wipe him out." I lost my head at that moment. I don't lose my head off him, but I think it was just before half-time, and we were 1-0 down, and Alvarez got himself sent off in one of the most stupid tackles I've ever seen at a football game. I lost my head when truly. We were the back row, and I think there was some kicking and punching of a wall involved, which didn't end well. It was just a really bad day, and they just did a complete and utter job on us. Complete and utter job.
When we played them up there and Deck missed a penalty?
The Jesse Lingard game.
Yeah, with the £50 notes.
£50 notes, yeah.
So
that was hot that day. That was like 35 degrees.
Yeah, but we did.
We don't do well there.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were all over in that game. Chance. I mean, Antonio had that chance. There was it Ben Rama had a free kick and it hit the bar?
I might be dreaming. On the line,
yeah. I mean, that game we had chance there. Last year we were completely and utterly outplayed, and it shows what they've done. And it, in a nutshell, indicates how they've gone about it. They've been clinical. They've took their chances, and they've took some really big scouts this season. I think they're one of the very few teams to go to Anfield this season and beat them as well. So they've got some pretty nice wins along the way. And also, alongside that, Mike, a FA Cup semi-final. They lost to Man City.
Yeah, they've had a great season all round, haven't they? No matter what happens in the last two games, they've still had a fantastic season after a year of just about scraping relegation. So
touch or go, wasn't it, for them last year?
Yeah, it was. So fair dues to them. But yeah, what I like about it is they can actually get the ball in the box. When they get the ball out wide, a lot of teams, and Man City are a team for it as well, aren't they? Without Haaland in the box, they can't stick the ball in the box because there's no one in there likely to get on the end of it. Yeah. But Forest can do it every time, and they can break and they can think, right, we're going to stick that in there now because we know he's going to be there, and he's going to cause their back four problems. And like us this year when Fulkrug come back, we've had a focal point in the middle. I like the way that actually they've done well by being like that instead of dink, dink, dink all along all along the front line, dink, dink, dink all the way back, and then not get a cross in, and it goes back to the goalkeeper. That does my head.
They just go for it, don't they?
Yeah, they just stick
and they have been, and you can say whatever you like about it, and you can say it's negative football and it's anti-football, but it's been the purest rejection of modern day style of play in football you could ever see, right?
Absolutely, totally, and utterly, and I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed watching that, to be totally honest.
Yeah,
you call me a bit of a dinosaur, but that sort of football can win you games and get you lots of points.
and as Nigel alluded to earlier, you all of a sudden you put a really strong, forceful team there, and you put it at the City Ground, which can and has become an absolute fortress. Now that place has got the best atmosphere in the Premier League by none, right? That twice I've thought they've by far, by a country mile, the best atmosphere in the Premier League. Just deafening. I mean, I don't think I'll ever forget that game. I mean, I know it was their first game back in the Premier League in 28 years or whatever it was when we went there a couple of seasons ago, but I've never witnessed anything like it. It was just incredible from all parts of the ground, and it was really good this season as well. And when you've got them flying high like that, it's a really, really hard place to go, Nigel, the City Ground.
Yeah, and we've got remember, we've got Ellen Road to go to next year again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which again is a very, very lively ground.
Yeah. Yeah, which is good. Good. We are losing a lively ground in Goodison Park this season, being replaced with the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Which, you know what, I did see an AI generated thing where I had Harry Hill and David Dickinson stood outside, which did make me chuckle as well.
I've seen a better one, Benny Hill.
Fathead, thank you very much for joining us. Well done, Palace. Amazing, absolutely. Well done, Palace. Stop nicking our tactics and being able to perform Palace in Europe for sure. We beat Forest. Our lowest finish will be 15th. There we are. How did Henderson stay on the pitch with it? I mean, that was touch and go. I must admit
that. I must admit, I didn't see that bit.
It was, yeah. I'm glad he didn't get sent off because it would have probably ruined the final. But it was a regular.
That's why they didn't do it, Jake. Yeah. I absolutely believe that they all knew, even at VAR, they knew there was a sending off. And they was like, we got the one Palace who won it. We can't send him off because everyone has said it's fixed.
And that's the exact reason why they didn't take the penalty off. That's the exact, because they thought that they knew they'd cocked up. So then when the replay showed that for the penalty, whoever it was got a touch on the ball with the tackle, they went, he didn't touch the ball. He did. I mean, they said on commentary the defender touched the ball. They stuck with the penalty just to try and even it out a little bit. I think obviously Mamouche stepped up and missed it. But an afternoon where VAR was foregrounded for the wrong reasons once again. Last time Palace won a trophy 164 years ago. I thought that was their first in their history. I mean, an incredible afternoon for them.
They won the Zenith Data Cup, didn't they? Do you remember once back in the day? Zenith Data Systems Cup. They won that.
Oh yeah.
That's not a real cup, is it?
Does this mean 9 English teams in Europe? What, the one that we sort of originated?
Yeah.
Does this mean 9 English teams in Europe next season will give us a chance if the Premier League, if they all played 2 times a week? Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be 8. I think it's 8 teams going to be in, so it's going to be the top 7, and then Palace, who are going to be in European football, nearly half the league. I mean, there was a thing where it could have been 10 or 11 teams if things really went in a specific way, which is just
couldn't they make it 16?
Yeah.
16 teams. Conference Ultra League Conference Trophy or something like that.
Yeah.
Where we played like Dagenham and Redbridge in the final. Or some plumbers from Israel or something.
Yeah. Right, Lee, thanks for joining us. Hope you are well. Will, Jake, who do you fancy for the Championship playoff? Not Sheffield United, anybody but Sheffield United. I just don't want to see them back again.
They're going to win it. I mean,
I know they are.
They will win it. I think Sheffield United doing it, but I can't stick their manager. He is
Wilder.
Yeah.
I do hope that it's Sunderland because that's one that we haven't done, and that'll be an interesting and rather long, trip.
And Newcastle, Sunderland derby, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that'd be great for the Premier League, wouldn't it? Get that derby back. Well, I mean, we were thinking. Just imagine if we had like on the Saturday Newcastle, and then on like the Wednesday night Sunderland. People would just stay up there, get a flight up, and stay there. Yeah. But yeah, that would be another long trip added to the list. I mean,
we're going to get them we get Sunderland on a Wednesday night or something.
Wednesday night,
fans, mate, so bad, isn't it?
If you think we're bad, just imagine and take your hearts out for the Plymouth fans that had to do the trip to Sunderland this season. That is a ridiculous journey. And there was a fair few that went. Mark, thanks for joining us. Hope you are well. Let's scroll down some of these comments. What did we get to? Some predictions coming on. Go to them in a minute. Get your score predictions in. Time to speed up with Pet Football. It will be back to 4-4-2. Yeah, I mean, that was a rejection, today even as well. And Forest all season, they've gone back to the basics and it's worked and they've been brilliant and you can't deny them with that. And if you'd have said to Forest fans at the start of the season, a trip to Wembley for an FA Cup semi-final and a European finish, they'd have probably looked at you a bit bonkers, but that's the reality of it and that's how good they've been and they deserve that, undoubtedly. Right, let's go into some predictions though. Nigel, I'll start with you.
I think we could win 2-1 tomorrow, but Chris Wood is going to score. He never. At times I've seen him score for Burnley against us and stuff like this. The bloke's just a jinx when he plays us. But I think we can. I think we can pull a 2-1 out of the act tomorrow.
I hope so. So now I'm going to predict that Mike was going to say 2-1. So now Mike scrambled in his head to try and find something else. But I also think that Mike is feeling a little bit pragmatic this evening, and I am going to go after severe reflection for West Ham United 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
Ooh.
Oh,
no, I won't go
blimmin' hell.
I've
Go on then,
got
Mike.
to agree with you though. It will be a draw, but I'm going for the Desmond.
He's going Desmond. I did contemplate that, but I thought you go 1-1. There you go, 1-1, 2-2, 2-1. The predictions on West Ham official this week. Now we can't do a preview about this game without mentioning some of the players that will be playing their final game for West Ham. Now there have been a couple of videos released in the last couple of days, some emotional ones. We've got to start with the main one, which is of course Aaron Cresswell. 11 years at the club, hundreds of appearances, deserving of a testimonial, which he's unfortunately not going to get. But he's been rejuvenated this season a little bit and a servant to the club, a hero, and a really, really good player over the years. Nigel, it'd be sad to see him go.
Yeah. I mean, he's been a great servant to the club. I've seen him score some absolutely corker free kicks, and he did get an England call up, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think he got one, didn't he? Yeah.
He got an England call up. There was all season where he might have been hammer of the year, but he was absolutely superb. And yeah, I mean, it'd be sad to see him go, but I think he knows it's time. It'd be amazing if he can play in the last game of the season against Ipswich, his former club, and maybe score.
Yeah.
That'd be either one of them. To be fair, we'd love to see either one of them players notch, on the last game.
Something tells me there'll be a resurfacing of the Aaron Cresswell chant at Ipswich away as well, especially because
absolutely.
For Ipswich. That would be nice as well. Mike, a word on Cresswell?
Oh yeah, he for 11 years, and let's face it, we signed him from Ipswich. People were probably thinking at the time, don't know about this bloke, but honestly, he's been superb, and especially in the left side of a back three, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. No. He got exposed as a left back, because his lack of pace, which happens over the years. But to be fair, I don't think he let us down at all in that, the left side of the back three. I think he's been really good. And like last week, do you see that little flick back?
Yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Lovely. Some of the goals he scored, a free kick against Man United, I remember that one quite well. Go against Chelsea, I remember a few of those goals. And he's got a wonderful left foot on him. And if you had a free kick, which was on his side, just outside of the box, I'd give it to him every day of the week.
There was a time when he used to fly down the left and just deliver off the cross. In his younger days, he sort of slowed down a bit, didn't he? But when he was in his prime, he was amazing. He's like I say, his crossing ability, and that was
his crossing and as well. But like I say, Nigel, he used to fly down the wing, but with his lack of pace, he couldn't get back then, could he? In later years, that was the problem.
I actually think I actually think he would have been remembered with a lot more fondness if we'd have had more players like Andy Carroll in the middle. He would have got so many assists
Oh,
if we'd have carried on with a big man in the middle who can head the ball into the back of the net. I think he would have got so many more assists. His delivery from corners, from set pieces, or just, from open play, a real big positive of his game. And, a player leaving that symbolises once again our nearing to the end of an era, as he is one of the very few left from that final season at the Boone. I think it's only Antonio left now, and of course that remains up in the air whether he's going to play next season. Another player leaving, been here 5 years, has been a great servant and has embraced the West Ham culture, and West Ham fans always love that, and that is Vladimir Coufal. Now, there are footballing gods out there, and there is a script wrote, and people write scripts, and I just urge whoever writes those scripts for there to be a Vladimir Coufal goal in the next 2 games to cap off the season. He hasn't scored one in a West Ham shirt. He's had nosebleeds when he's got near. Wouldn't it be glorious, Nige, if either tomorrow or next Sunday Vladimir Coufal scores for West Ham?
Yeah, it'd be phenomenal because he's proper one of the boys, isn't he? People love him. Like I say, people saying he's catching the bus. He chat to him at the bus stop and that. In Frankfurt, when he just stormed right through the middle of them, just come and say thank you to the fans. He's a proper warrior and a great servant to the club again. Yeah,
for sure. A player that completely summarises what it's like to be West Ham and what it's like to understand West Ham. And the fans took to him, instantly. I remember his first game, Leicester away. I think it was 3 or 4-0. We beat him up there, and we thought, oh, okay, decent player. Like £5 million we paid for him.
Oh, absolute bargain! And you talk about crosser of the ball. He is a good crosser of the ball, no doubt about that. But I mean, he just give you 110% every single game. He rolls up his sleeve, and people talk about the West Ham way. Yeah. That's all West Ham fans want, is to see a guy like him go out there every week and just giving it everything he's got. Brilliant signing. Absolutely. The Frankfurt thing for me, I was in tears then, and that bloke just stood there amongst them, and that just sums him up. West Ham through and through. I think he'll get another club. There's talk of Fulham, so and if he does, I'm sure if he comes back, he will get a standing ovation, because the guy just, those sort of players always will.
Don't forget the mugging off of Jack Grealish.
Brilliant that was. I know he had a bit of help from Ryan Fredericks that day.
He gets swallowed by Sofa and gets stuck in and all, doesn't he? He proper gets stuck in.
Yeah. That's what you want. A tackle from him is what gets the crowd on their feet, and gets the crowd going, gets them behind the team, And I loved him to death. I mean, we've had a lot of players like him over the years, but he's another one of them.
What a masterclass that was from Moyes that night, though. Fredericks and Coufal completely nullified any threat from Jack Grealish. That was a brilliant evening. Fabianski also departing the club this summer. Now, if Potter had any sense of humanity, Fabianski would start one of these last 2 games. You'd like to think, probably Sunday, tomorrow. But again, another player that has had a couple of sticky moments, but on the whole has been a very, very steady and decent keeper for quite a long time. And he's 40 years old, Nigel, when he's played games this season, and he hasn't had many howlers, has he?
No, he's a very good keeper. I mean, 40 years old. He's had a good innings, and he's been solid for us. I can't remember. Really, I mean, there ain't anyone who really dislikes Fab or thinks he's a bad keeper, is there? Because he is literally, he makes some amazing penalty saves as well. When you think about it, he's stopped a few pens, isn't he? And he's always been a good shot stopper. He's been a bit flappy now and again, but the only thing, if I was ever going to criticise him, is the way it frustrates me.
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Well, we get the ball, we're on a break, and he runs to the edge of the box to throw it out, and then he'll stop. And then we're like, why are you not throwing it out? That's the only criticism I've got of the bloke.
Absolutely. A really good servant to the club, and probably suggest to keep her coming in the summer, Mike, really.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah, I love Fab. To be fair, great shot stopper. Saved a lot of penalties in his time, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, the easiest one was the Fulham one.
Lookman. Oh, yes.
I mean, my granny could have stopped that one, but joking aside, he's made some brilliant saves, and he's been a great servant. I think the modern game sort of caught up with him a bit. His kicking has not always been the greatest, but hey, you can't knock him. He's been a great servant to the club, and another one that take a bit of replacing, to be honest.
The thing is with goalkeepers nowadays is because of the way everyone is now playing it out for the back. If you're a goalkeeper, you've got to be a bit of a footballer too.
Yeah, you have.
It's not like in the older. Can you imagine keepers like Joe Corrigan and Pat Jennings, like kicking the ball, killing the ball dead, then sideswiping it and then passing 20-yard, 30-yard part? It would never happen, would it? They just used to catch the ball, put it over the bar, and then drop kick it up to the other end of the pitch, and that was it. Yeah. So the goalkeepers nowadays they've actually got to have a bit of footballing skill about them as well.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
I don't want. There is talk of us getting Aaron Ramsdale.
Oh no.
He looked good in that Arsenal documentary. He was the up and coming goalkeeper, that all or nothing, and then he just went to pot, didn't he?
I tell you what, I 100% agree with Michael Kelleher over Ramsdale. Absolutely, I think he's a really good keeper. He is too good to be a number 2, regardless at the club that he's at. Let's go and get him out of Liverpool. Now, a player that will probably be around with slightly less fondness, but I feel like we should still mention him is, of course, Danny Ings. £125,000 a week. You've got to commend it, to be totally honest. He's took us for a few quid. A couple of goals against Forest at home a couple of years ago, and a goal to save us a point. There we go. I was right at the front that day, and I got hit in the head. That was chaos that day. You've
got to remember Danny Ings, right? I think he's quite a good player, and I think he was second to the Golden Boot, wasn't he, a couple of seasons ago or something? He was like, so he's not like a crappy forward. I think we just don't utilise the bloke properly.
That sounds familiar. Haven't utilised the striker, right? We've never done that before.
Well, it's true. Any striker we get, we always take away their attributes, and we don't use them properly, do we? And I feel sorry for him a bit. I actually like the bloke. I think the fans actually quite like Danny Ings as a bloke.
Yeah. To be fair to him,
not a legend, is he? But he's he's not someone. He's not someone that the fans boo.
No, never.
When you go to the away games, he's always they always sing his name.
Danny Ings. And there will be a rendition of that at Ipswich away, that's for sure. There'll be one final Danny Ings.
To be fair, you're right, Nigel. I don't think, again, not utilised a striker, West Ham, but joking aside, he just needed someone up there with him, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's always been a goal scorer.
David Speedy, do you remember when we bought him?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that? Yeah. Clive Allen, we bought him, when he was finished. Yeah. Them sort of, do you know what I mean? They're sort of older players that have come through, but Speedy done all right for us.
He did. I remember a game against Leicester. I think that might have been Tom's first game that I took him home to Leicester. And, David Speedy scored 2 goals then, but...
Bellamy? We had Bellamy at the end of his career.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So, I mean, Danny Ings, a player that has had a couple of good moments in a West Ham shirt. There's no doubting that. I haven't missed anyone. That's it, isn't it? I think. As far as I'm aware.
There may be more going yet, might
not. Oh, yeah, there will be. Yeah, but as we know.
Was Zuma still on a...
Okay, Zuma was still on the books. Yeah, so Zuma was still
on the books.
I hope there's a few going. Like 10 of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this goes on to the question.
5,
Just keep Jared going.
This goes on to the questionnaire for the panel. How many of our starting 11 from the first game will be here next season? Well, I mean, you look for it. Okay, so Areola's still going to be here. Wan-Bissaka's still going to be here.
Kilman
will still be here.
Oh, not Kilman.
Todibo will still be here. Well, he might go, to be fair. Todibo might go, I reckon. Skulls will still be here. Emerson might go. I've heard he might be on his way. Ward-Prowse, I'd rather we got rid of him, to be honest. I think Alvarez will go. Rodriguez will go. Soler will probably go. Paqueta, who knows? Kudus will go. Bowen will stay, obviously. Fulcrum
We
will
need
stay.
a rebuild. We need a total rebuild, and I think
Yeah.
we should start bringing some of the youngsters in. I think the likes of like Paqueta. I mean, we can get good money for those players. For those players that haven't performed this season, that have just been carried by everyone, like Paqueta and Kudus. Let's get rid of them. Get good money.
Yeah.
Get top money from, and then we can buy some decent, quality, hard-working players. I mean,
absolutely,
it amazes me when you look at teams like Brentford.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it completely shows up our recruitment. I mean, our recruitment in the last 2 years has been dreadful. You got just look at that squad, look at what it's performed this season, and anybody could tell you, who's got any knowledge of football, could tell you how disjointed and just mismatched our squad is. It's been dreadful. We haven't got a clue.
The problem is it's a lot of players to get rid of.
Yeah.
That is a lot of players to get rid of and bring in. And we had pretty much a big overhaul last year as well.
Exactly. Every year we've had a big overhaul for a while. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to get rid of players. We know those 4 are going. We know more are probably going to go. But I would like to see the likes of Potts and Murphy and probably Marshall coming back into the squad. They may not be starters all the time, but given a lot of more game time, than the likes of some of them, people like Soler and Rodriguez and whatever, none of them have had 2 or 3 good games in a row, have they?
No.
We're on about getting rid of Souček, and all, mate.
I mean, that would be scandalous. I mean,
Souček.
He scored the goals he scored this season. I mean,
10 goals.
We have a moan about Thomas, don't we? Now and again, he'll have these few lazy balls and stuff like that. But the statistics speak for themselves.
Yeah.
The time he's got us out of trouble.
How many games is it? Yeah, exactly. Nice. How many games has he scored goals to get us right out of the poo? And to be fair to him, we know what he can do, and we know what he can't do. Yeah. It's players in behind him that we need.
Yeah.
I
we had some speedy little young midfielders.
Yeah.
Who work hard, because let's face it, Souček knows where the goal is, mate.
Of course he does.
He knows where the goal is.
Yeah.
And I think he'd score a lot more goals if not when he had Declan playing. Behind him, who's banging him in for fun, and he's done that this season, even without Dec.
So and it's recognised, and you're absolutely right. It's recognised his limitations as a player, and that's why I've said all season you can't play Ward-Prowse and Souček in the midfield together because they're too similar. We are well aware that Souček isn't going to be playing the 30-yard perfect through ball, or isn't going to be doing step overs and getting himself out of situations like maybe Paqueta could intricately. But you can't have a player like Ward-Prowse in midfield with Souček because it just becomes one-dimensional. Souček scores goals and does simple things right. And we need players, as Nigel is spot on, get a young, fiery, speedy, tricky midfielder in there, alongside maybe an Alvarez if we can keep hold of him. And then you've got a really good midfield. Somerville, there we go.
Somerville to come back into the team. Somerville, Souček, they're good Premier League players.
Yeah. And I mean, if Moyes comes knocking, Mike, we've got to shut the door.
Oh, most definitely. We've got to keep him. I mean, how many teams would take him? I'll tell you what.
Quite a lot.
Almost half of that league and more.
Absolutely.
Rip for our arm off him if he's going for about 30k. Honestly, if he goes for 30 million, that will be a disgrace.
Yeah.
Because he's worth so much more than that to us as a team. Where do you get a bloke who scores 9-10 goals in the Premier League from midfield now?
We look toothless without him, physicality-wise, from corners, from set pieces, even in midfield. We look toothless in midfield without him. I tell you what, there will be a revolt if we let him go this summer because we will be.
Well, throws his head in everywhere. He's like throws his head in at the back post amongst the bodies. He gets on the end of things. The bloke's he's one of them players that just knows where the goal is. And look, he wouldn't be playing for his country in one of these country's best players if he was crap, would he?
Exactly, and I think Michael's right. Souček, in my opinion, should replace Creswell as club captain and help Bowen learn the role. I give the armband to Souček tomorrow if it were me. if it were me. Bowen's
He's
not a
that
captain.
type of
Bowen
player, isn't he? He's that type of player.
in the
We
heart of the
all know
midfield.
why Bowen got the captaincy.
Yeah.
You know, it was to keep him there, give him the 5-year contract, and it was just to keep him there, full stop. He's not your natural captain. Souček is, but they had to do what they did at the time. And I do understand that, to be fair. But, you know, you need a leader, and he is a leader of men. There's no doubt about that. I'd make him captain tomorrow now, but yeah, that's not down to me.
There we are. Well, I feel like we've let off some steam there, really. Had a little good chat. I mean, we will continue that in our post-season debrief. That's going to be one hell of a show. We will try and get the second half of my preview pack together to analyse and dissect this season, as well as looking ahead to what is to come. And that will be an interesting couple of hours, I think. But we've still got a couple of games before that, and Forest are home. We're home to Forest tomorrow. Hopefully 3 points to secure our Premier League spot above, not to say Liverpool then, we're not Liverpool, unfortunately, above Manchester United and Spurs in the Premier League. And then we put our Manchester United shirts on Wednesday night unreservedly.
Come on, you Reds.
Come on, you Reds. You know, I've always had a soft spot for Man United. And Wednesday night, that is intensified beyond belief as we support those mighty Red Devils in the Europa League final against Tottenham. Maybe we should do a watch along. Maybe we should get a Man United scarf and do a watch.
Get one of them shirts with Maguire on the back.
Absolutely. So that is all to come. Mike and Nigel, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
No problem, mate. Thank you.
There we go. Well, come you Irons, and we'll see you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Come on, you Reds.
See you later, guys.